You know that feeling, right? You finish a book, you put it down, and you just have to sit there for a minute. You're completely lost in the world the author just built inside your head. It feels like absolute magic. Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain on that magic.
I mean, really think about it. How can these little black marks on a page, just simple words, reach into our chests and make us feel real joy or gut-wrenching sorrow? How do they build entire universes that feel just as real as the room you're sitting in?
Well, here's the secret. It's not some unknowable magic. It's a craft. It's a set of skills and deliberate choices that a writer makes. Think of a master carpenter with their tools. They're not just banging wood together. They're carefully shaping it into something beautiful and meaningful. Writers do the same thing, but with words.
All right, so if it's a craft, then every craftsperson needs a toolbox. Let's pop it open and take a look at the essential tools every author uses to build their worlds.
Here are the big five. First, you've got tone. This is the whole vibe, you know? Is it funny, serious, suspenseful? Then there's repetition, which is all about making a point stick in your head. Figurative language is where authors get to paint pictures with words. Of course, word choice is absolutely crucial. I mean, there's a huge difference between saying someone walked into a room and saying they stormed in. And finally, imagery, which brings it all to life by hitting our senses, what we see, what we hear, what we feel.
Okay, seeing the list is one thing, but let's see if we can spot these tools out in the wild. I'm going to throw a phrase at you, and you try to guess which tool the author is using. Ready? Let's do a little pop quiz.
First one's up, the wind whispered secrets. Now, we all know wind can't actually whisper, and it certainly doesn't have any secrets to tell. So what's happening here? What tool is making this simple sentence feel so mysterious?
Yep, you got it. That's a classic case of personification. It's when you give human-like qualities to something that isn't human. And just like that, a simple breeze becomes this living, breathing character in the story. So simple, but so effective. All right, what about this one? Crash. Boom. The thunder shook the sky. The author isn't just telling us there's a storm, they're making us hear it.
Exactly. That is pure sound imagery. Those words, crash and boom, they actually mimic the sounds they're describing. It's a neat little trick that pulls you right out of your chair and into the middle of that storm. You don't just read it, you hear it.
Okay, last one for our quiz here. She cried and cried and cried. This one seems almost too simple, doesn't it? The author could have just said she was really sad. So why choose to write it this way?
And that, my friends, is the power of repetition. By saying cried 3 times, we don't just know she's sad, we feel how long and how deep that sadness is. And this is the main takeaway. Every single word an author uses is a choice, a decision made specifically to make you feel something.
So we can spot the tools one by one, but the real art is seeing how a writer weaves them all together. So let's look at a short paragraph and break down how all these pieces work together to create one really powerful moment.
Okay, just listen to this. The sky groaned. Rain beat the windows like angry fists. Inside, Mina's pencil hovered. Her words, her feelings, stuck behind silence. I can't do it, she whispered. But the page waited, and somewhere deep, courage sparked. Wow, you could feel the tension in that little scene, can't you?
So how did the author create that feeling? Well, the tone is obviously super tense and anxious. And that tone is built using powerful personification. The sky doesn't just get dark, it groans. The rain doesn't just hit the glass, it beats on it like angry fists. And here's the brilliant part. The author is mirroring Mina's internal struggle, her writer's block, with the storm happening outside. We feel her frustration because the whole world feels angry and stuck.
Now, using craft like this to show what's happening on the inside isn't just for novels. In fact, these exact same tools are absolutely essential for communicating our deepest truths and beliefs.
Take this line right out of the Psalms. The source material points out that the choices here, the rhythm, the structure, the exact words, are all completely intentional. The point isn't just to state a fact. The point is to craft a truth that sticks with you, one that resonates deep in your heart.
And you see this with all the greatest teachers throughout history. Our source highlights how Jesus, for example, was a master of this craft. He used metaphors and powerful symbols, like calling his followers salt and light. Those weren't just pretty words, they were incredibly effective teaching tools that made huge, complex ideas understandable, relatable, and totally unforgettable.
And this really gets to the core of it all. The whole point of author's craft, whether it's in a story or in scripture, is to do more than just give you information.
It's about connecting on a deeper level. It's about moving the heart, not just talking to the mind, to create an experience that leads to real understanding.
So, knowing that words are this powerful, that they're tools that can shape how we feel and think, it raises a pretty big question. Why does this all matter? Why bother breaking down sentences and looking at word choice? Well, because it gets to the very purpose of communication itself.
And here's the thing about powerful tools, they can be used to build or to break. The source material makes this really clear. Having the skill to use words powerfully isn't enough. Without a moral compass, that skill can actually be pretty dangerous. The real goal is to pair this incredible craft with a moral purpose, to use these tools to build people up, to bring healing, and to make a positive impact.
Which leaves us with one last really important thought. We've seen that words are not just passive marks on a page. They are active, powerful tools. They build worlds, they stir up emotions, and they carry truth across generations. So the question isn't just for famous authors. It's for every single one of us. If your words are tools, what are you building?